more green. We're going to start with Jordanka from the Bulgarian Biodiversity Foundation, who is going to tell us more about the foundation. Jordanka, you have the floor.
Hi, nice to meet you all. I will present shortly Bulgarian Biodiversity Foundation. We decided to reach out to the Sustainability Club because we were searching for new partnership inside our new project that we have that is based on climate change. And that is how we contacted American University in Bulgaria, and we reached out to the Sustainability Club. We really found active young people who care about natural resources, climate change, and sustainability, and are ready to plan and implement a lot of activities that we recently started. This is our second webinar, as you have already heard. As the current webinar is focusing on green business, I will not present the full list of Bulgarian Biodiversity Foundation activities. I will focus on the question if environmental NGOs can also support green businesses, because we are very often taught to be in conflict with economy, which is not really the case. And I will give you 3 examples from Bulgarian biodiversity work that are connected to green businesses. For example, we work in Atanasovsku Lake near Burgas, and together with the salt extracting company, we're developing different products. We're supporting the salt company to develop different products out of salt, because the salt extracting there is actually helping for nature conservation. If the salt continues to be there, the salt extracting business, it is good for the birds that come there to rest and nest. And we found different partnerships that are business connected. For example, the chocolate company Gayo that developed a chocolate with salt from Atanasovsku Lake. We also supported the salt business to start extracting fleur de sel. That is a very much expensive product. And in this way, they have more reasons to keep their business ongoing. We also have some cosmetics done together with the Bulgarian Academy of Science. Another example of green business connected to our NGO is Nature in a Box. This is a box made like a present that is full with farmers' products from the regions that we work in. And in this way, we support the businesses in the high nature value regions in Bulgaria. And at the same time, they're the first to keep nature in their regions. And the third example that I want to show you is connected to ecotourism. We developed different, we support different local people to make businesses connected with nature, e.g. tour guides or restaurants or guest houses, but also we support the development of infrastructure around the regions, for example, bike tours or walking tours. And we also publish different editions that are connected with the regions, online or offline. And in this way, we help them really do business locally and keep nature. So these were my 3 examples that I wanted to share with you. And I'm looking forward to see what business companies are doing to make green. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Jordanka, for presenting more about the foundation. Now we're going to continue with the team of young and ambitious professionals who work at the TTEC. Their names are Dimitar Sherlachki, who is actually an AUBG alum, Katrin Tomova and Sylvia Savova. They work at supporting HP, and now they're going to tell us more about it.
Yeah, hello everyone. Can you see? Nope. Sorry.
We can see. Yes.
Okay. Can you see now?
Yes, we can see.
Can you see the presentation?
Yep, you can start sharing.
All right. So, well, hello everyone. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Dimitar. I'm an AUBG alumni. I'm very excited to be part of this presentation and just in general, again, be part of AUBG. Together with my colleagues, Sylvia and Katrina, with whom we work for TTEX, supporting HP in their sustainability endeavors. Tonight, we're going to talk about sustainability and HP. Okay, we'll mainly focus on some rising challenges and recent trends, our long-lasting sustainability strategy, as well as some of our projects that tackle the global environmental problems as a big company. However, what you will not be able to see tonight is the universal way on how to create sustainability strategy for your own business. That we're gonna have to leave to you. We're gonna start with some statistics. Did you know that as of 2019, the amount of consumed materials by humanity has passed 100 billion tons? Yet, on the other hand, the proportion of recycled materials is actually not keeping up to that number. At this current rate of growth by 2050, we're gonna need the equivalent of 2.3 Earths in order to sustain all of us. A recent UN report tells us that the extractive industries such as mining and farming are responsible for up to 50% of the green gas emissions and up to 80% of the species lost. As for consumers, more than 87% of consumers purchase products from companies that advocate for issues that they care about. By engaging exactly those customers, at least 70 billion US dollars in savings will be available in the global consumer goods market. And in general, the world wants more from companies. Companies have critical and important roles to play nowadays and focus on sustainability, not simply because it is the right thing to do, but because it's a business imperative. A growing number of customers, consumers, and employees are passionate about the environment, and they expect companies to care as well. 91% of consumers would switch a brand if a different one was purpose-driven and had a similar price and quality. On the other hand, 73% of millennial buyers, think of sustainability as a key consideration, and their purchasing decisions would greatly be influenced by that. Sustainability has been part of HP's identity ever since it was founded more than 8 years ago. Here are just some of the environmental milestones we've been able to achieve during this time. In 1972, HP adopted a manufacturing policy to protect the environment. In 1991, HP Planet Partners Program for Return and Recycle was first established. In 2003, the first hardware product with recycled plastics was manufactured. And most recently, in 2019, the HP Sustainable Forest Collaborative was first introduced. You can even say that sustainability has been part of our DNA ever since the beginning. Our entire product design revolves around sustainability, starting from the design of the product, where we implement a number of materials innovations, passing through its efficiency and social impact until it reaches the end of its life, and we recycle it properly in the end. Our commitment dates back all the way to the creation of HP. As Dave Packard, one of the founders of HP, said, "The betterment of our society is not a job to be left to a few. It is a responsibility to be shared by all." What we do is we work on key things that support and deliver our values. We focus beyond the productive motive. And now, more about HP strategies and approach we learn from Katrine. Katrine, you have the floor.
Thank you, Dimitar. All right, so we heard a lot about the global trends and our values, but how do we actually deliver on our values? Well, if we look at the big picture, we can easily say that customers not only want to increase the amount of material that they're recycling in their office, but they also want to purchase products with recycled content in them. And this is why we want to help consumers achieve their sustainability goals through our closed loop recycling process. As many of you know, since it's a hot topic both across news and politics, sustainability matters now more than ever. And we can easily say that sustainability is all about finding responsible ways to do business while also protecting the earth for future generations. It's that simple, and it matters because we all care about our future. However, the linear economic model, which we have been using for so long, is no longer as efficient for the environment or for the businesses as it used to be. It's a one-way system that is grounded in a take, make, consume, and dispose cycle. A circular economy, on the other hand, is a more efficient model for the future. It is based on reducing the extraction of raw materials by replacing them with recycled resources. And in this regard, we can say that the successful implementation of a circular economy is key to sustainable impact. For many people, we know that recycling has always been the simplest way towards circular economy. The notion that everyday products such as soda bottles or cans can be collected, they can be recycled and turned into new bottles, it's pretty straightforward. But when we're talking about recycling products such as PCs, printers, or cartridges, it's a bit more complex. However, HP has been recycling leader for decades. We have been developing innovations that enable us to reduce our product's environmental impact and meet our customer demands to reduce waste. As you already heard from Dimitar, 25 years ago, we launched our HP Planet Partners Return and Recycling programs. The program offers convenient and responsible end-of-life solutions for our customers in 76 countries and territories as we speak. And throughout this program, we have collected a lot. To be precise, we have collected more than 3.3 billion pounds of hardware and supplies, which is pretty much the equivalent of about 8,000 blue whales, or maybe 150 Eiffel Towers. And what do we do with all this collected waste? Well, thanks to our closed loop recycling program, we are already driving towards the circular economy. Across our value chain, by designing out waste, building in project longevity, and offering our customers ongoing services rather than simply selling them products. We produce new original HP cartridges using recycled plastics from used cartridges and plastic from other sources, including recycled bottles. And this sustainable approach has tremendous economic benefits as well. I mean, we reduce fossil fuel consumption, we're less dependent on raw materials extraction, and we're far less susceptible to price fluctuations of those raw materials. But we're also tackling a huge global problem. You all know about plastic pollution, but did you know that 8 million tons of plastic leaks into the marine environment from land-based sources every year? And scientists have estimated that by 2050, there will be more plastic by weight than fish in the ocean. And this is one of the reasons why we have started our recycling project in Haiti. In 2016, we launched an initiative to source from Haiti some of the plastic bottles for our closed loop recycling process to create new original HP ink cartridges. As of May 2020, we have sourced more than 60 million bottles in Haiti that would otherwise would have been washed into the ocean. We have upcycled them into new HP original cartridges and hardware. So you can imagine that we're taking bottles from Haiti that would end up in the ocean, recycling them and upcycling them into new products. And this initiative is not only helping prevent ocean-bound plastics from reaching the Caribbean Sea, but it's also combating the ever-growing problem of ocean pollution. And it also aims to improve the lives of the people who collect recyclable materials by providing them with educational opportunities, including scholarships, as well as full access to medical care and health and safety trainings. And what do we do with all those bottles? As I mentioned already, we transform those plastic bottles and we use them to create world's first display, notebook, mobile workstation, enterprise Chromebook, and consumer notebooks with ocean-bound plastics, which makes us having the most sustainable PC portfolio around the industry. Now, Let me share and show you some examples from our work and spend a bit of time talking about our packaging strategy. Sustainable packaging is an important part of HP's commitment to create positive, lasting change for our people and our communities, and it's crucial to our corporate vision. But we also know that sustainable packaging is a business imperative and a key differentiator, touching more than $860 million in new and existing customer deals in 2020. And this is why we want to focus on elimination, innovation, and circulation. So how do we do that? Well, you can see on this slide that in 2020, we have implemented over 40 innovative projects just in 2020 that were all related to packaging. And they were focusing on reducing the environmental impact they have. Here are some of the initiatives that you can see. And I'm going to focus on two of them. The bulk packaging initiative, thanks to which we have managed to save around 64 tons of packaging materials. And we also managed to make product documentation available digitally. And thus we have minimized our paper usage and saved money. To be precise, about $43,000 just for 1 year. So another interesting example that I want to share with you is the so-called HB cosmetic repair label. It's a very simple and a very smart initiative that we started, and it's aiming at avoiding reboxing. So by placing this label to cover purely cosmetic damage, we're saving not only resources, CO2 emissions, and also, of course, money, because we're actually avoiding reboxing. Okay, so we've learned about services, we've learned about packaging, we've learned about closed loop. Now let's talk about services. Services that HP offers. We're gonna start with the HP Instant Ink. This is a web-based ink subscription service that is helping our customers and ensuring that they never run out of this essential supply. So let's say that your printer is running out of ink. Well, the printer will detect that and it will automatically order new cartridges for direct delivery. And with a cartridge return rate twice as high as non-subscription supplies, HP Instant Ink help reduce waste and assist our customer to recycle responsibly. Now, the switch to a service-based model provides incentive on both sides and results in economic benefits, including cost savings of up to 50% of ink for consumers, while at the same time, it's driving more sustainable outcomes. Another service that we offer to our corporate customers this time are called HP Managed Print Service, or MPS, and also Device as a Service. The MPS, or the print service, can help you uncover hidden costs and identify opportunities for improvement. Thanks to our service, and according to industry analysts, savings of up to 30% are typical with the HP Managed Print Service. The service is helping customers print more responsibly by designing printers and software to optimize paper use. It's defaulting many print fleets to double-sided printing, it's reducing paper waste, and it's improving paper recyclability by developing solutions for de-inking. Device as a Service, on the other hand, is our personal systems service. It's for our personal systems clients and can help maintain an optimized and scalable personal systems fleet. And these innovative models can help businesses optimize both their printing or personal systems infrastructure by reducing their environmental impact, cutting costs, and providing them with an easy and secure way of recycling once needed, because this is a crucial part. When customers own products such as PCs and printers, they often worry about what they're going to do at the end of their lives. And this is where we come and we offer recycling solutions. Now, let me try to illustrate that with an example. An example from a US financial company. The company is called Principal. And when Principal originally implemented the HP MPS, it cut costs by more than $1.3 million. Consolidated its printing fleet, reduced paper usage, and saved space. Now, after a number of years with our HP MPS solution, the benefits continue to grow. And we can say that by changing user behavior and implementing default standards, duplex printing has more than doubled in the past 8 years, from 16% at first to more than 32% duplex printing today. And now I want to give the floor to Sylvia, who will tell you a little bit more about how HP cares not only about its customers, but also about its suppliers and the people that actually build our products.
Thank you, Catherine. Focusing on the products and services is important. However, we would like to go over a topic that is gaining popularity and it's essential for the modern company, and that is its supply chain. HP has one of the largest supply chains in the IT industry, made up of hundreds of production suppliers and thousands of non-production suppliers. We are investing in policies, programs, and capabilities to create a positive impact, strengthen and transform our supply chain, empower workers, and provide greater transparency and accountability to our stakeholders. We set bold goals to drive progress and integrate social and environmental consideration across our value chain and businesses. From our supply chain to our employees to our partners, we stand on equal and human rights for all. We protect and empower our workers in our supply chain so the people who make our products can thrive at work, at home, and in their communities. On this slide, you can see some of the common supply chain risks. We take a risk-based approach to supply chain sustainability. Suppliers with high risk will then either receive a self-assessment questionnaire or an on-site audit or both. We inevitably find issues in these audits and assessments and have to work closely with the supplier to correct them. With increased customer and regulatory pressure, the need to expand our risk window has intensified. We are expected to not only go through this process with 95% of our suppliers spent, but also with smaller spent suppliers, sub-tier suppliers, suppliers with foreign migrant workers, and our own facilities. Across our complex global multi-actor supply chain, we have the most influence over our direct suppliers. However, in the case of trace and precious metals, we recognize that we must work to influence the practices of those most deeper in the supply chain. The concern of coconut minerals, which is shared by many industries, not just IT, is that there are human rights violations that have been associated with the minerals trade in the Democratic Republic of Congo for over 2 decades. And our products, like those in a wide range of industries, use metals that are produced with minerals that can be sourced from the DRC. Those metals are tin, tungsten, tantalum, and gold. Many of the issues we face are too large and complex to address alone. Because the electronic industry supply base is broadly shared, collaborating with the others sends a powerful message to suppliers and creates efficiency and consistency through scale. HP will continue to build a 12-year history of working closely with the Electronic Industry Citizenship Coalition, now the Responsible Business Alliance, to advance standards in the industry. And here you can see all Responsible Business Alliance members. There are a lot of familiar names. So why we are doing this? Well, customers are demanding it. More than 2.7 billion were associated with supply chain responsibility requests just in fiscal year 2018. In the end, we can conclude that as regulations are increasing, the pressure on corporate brands is going to be higher than ever. Therefore, companies need to be one step ahead and should not only be compliant but exceed the expectations. On the other hand, customers want more. They are concerned about human rights and climate change, so they must act responsibly. Always try to improve, and don't forget that small changes can bring you huge benefits. In addition, don't forget that corporate image is important and sustainability is an opportunity to differentiate from the competition. How do we know this works? For a number of years, we have been awarded various sustainability awards from all around the world. Some of them are visible here, such as CDPA ranking or the Energy Star Partner of the Year award. But the list goes on. Our sustainable impact efforts have not gone unnoticed. From our top executives and management teams to our employees who are working inside the company and in their communities. They are all helping to bring sustainable impact to life and make a difference. Thank you for your attention. It's time for questions and answers.
Thank you so much to our first speakers. We'll be taking questions after our second speaker when we have our question and answer session. We're now continuing with Denitsa Damyanova, who is one of the owners and has established together with her sister the Blonde Gone Rogue fashion company, which is based in London. So now we'll have the floor. We'll give the floor to Denitsa.
Hi everyone. I hope everyone is feeling all right. Yeah, the talk so far has been very interesting for me as well because HP is such a different business than my own. So it was very interesting to hear as well what they have to say. So let me share my screen. Okay, do you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I will start a little bit by introducing myself. I am Denitsa and I am from Ruse in Bulgaria. I have studied fashion in Milan and in London. And actually that's when I started learning a lot more about sustainability, and that's when my interest really began. I have also worked for Tommy Hilfiger in Amsterdam. And after that, I started my own fashion label together with my sister. So we started Blonde Gone Rogue back in 2017. And initially we started in Amsterdam where we were both living at the time. And now in late 2019, I think it was, we moved to London where we are now. So basically about Blonde Gone Rogue, we are a sustainable women's wear and menswear brand. And sustainability has been our core value from the beginning. And I think when, I'm sorry. So yes, we started with sustainability right from the beginning. And I think my biggest influence for that was the course that I had in London when we have all those speakers speaking about sustainability and about fashion sustainability. And it was only then that I started learning how damaging the fashion industry really is. And in fact, here you can see some of the statistics. And those have been quite discouraging, I must say, in the beginning for me. And at some point, I really also didn't know if I really want to continue in fashion, just because learning about all these malpractices, both environmentally and socially, was really, really discouraging. And then when you look at fashion being the second biggest polluter on Earth, it was really a big question mark. But then I decided that it was either I decided to do something else and I forgot all about these issues, or I tried to be part of this change. So I decided to do the second one. And this is what my main motivation was for Blong on Rogue being sustainable. So our goal was and still is that we offer our customers sustainable, high quality garments that are as well affordable and have this unique, playful signature style. And the reason why I say that we want to be affordable is that we believe that for fashion to be truly sustainable, it needs to be affordable to everyone. Because if it's affordable to just a very few people and it's, you know, at the same level as luxury fashion price-wise, it doesn't make sense. It's not sustainable. So basically this was our main drive to, you know, trying to have our prices at a level that is just a little bit above fast fashion, but still being able to incorporate using sustainable materials and, you know, fair working conditions and everything else. So let me just, so how we work basically is that we have sustainability at a few different stages throughout the production. And it all starts with the materials. And we have been very lucky because Ruse, our hometown, has a huge fashion manufacturing industry. So there are a lot of factories there already. And we found out at a very early stage that there is so much leftover textiles in those factories. So how this works is usually a brand will create a collection, and then they usually all order fabrics that are more than what they would actually need. And therefore, at the end of the production, there's quite a lot of leftovers that just stay at the factories. And at some point, they're thrown away because nobody is using them. So obviously, this creates a huge amount of this pollution. So what we do is we go through the factories, we look through those materials, we buy them, and then we incorporate them in our collections. So most of our collections are made from leftover textiles, and then the rest is made from eco-friendly materials. And when I say eco-friendly, these are materials that use less resources. So for example, cotton, even though it's a natural material, which makes it more sustainable than, let's say, polyester, which is oil-based, is still not sustainable at all because it uses huge amounts of water to be created. But for example, a material such as linen is a lot more sustainable because it doesn't need that much water to grow. It doesn't need pesticides usage for the crop to grow and so on. So we're trying to incorporate sustainability in all aspects of our business. So at this point, we have incorporated in our material usage. As I explained now for the fabrics, we are also using quite a lot of recycled materials, organic materials, and now we started using Corozo buttons instead of regular polyester buttons. And Corozo is a material that is made from the nut from palm trees in Ecuador. So basically, when the nut falls from the palm tree, it is collected, it's carved into a button, and it's completely biodegradable, and it's very sustainable because it doesn't use any chemicals, it doesn't use, it's not linked to animal practices socially as well as the workers who produce it. Then recently we have also changed our packaging. Before our packaging was made from recycled paper. Now it's made from corn. And those packagings are quite interesting because they look like nylon, like plastic packaging, but are in fact made from corn and are biodegradable. So if you put them in a humid place for a few weeks, you start seeing the packaging dissolving. And in terms of shipping, what we started doing is when we ship an order, a small part of the of our profit from this sale goes towards preserving forests in the Amazon forests. So if you've heard about offsetting your carbon footprint, this is basically what that is. So a small percentage of your profit goes towards preserving forests. Another aspect of sustainability is, of course, social sustainability. And this means that all people who are involved in the production are paid living wages, that they work in good working conditions, that they are treated with dignity and respect. And maybe like in Bulgaria, we don't have that much this issue, but as I'm sure most of you know, in China and Bangladesh, it's completely different. And this is a huge problem. So we make sure that we know where our products are made. They're all made in our hometown. We visit those factories ourselves. We monitor them ourselves. And we know that people there are not exploited, that they're happy, they're paid well, they're respected. And in fact, most of the time we work very closely with them. I am usually there during production, so I can make sure that everything is going smoothly. And another big part of sustainability is transparency. And this is as well a big issue of fashion that I'll go more into depth later in the presentation. But transparency basically means that we know and are very open about all our practices and our supply chain as a whole to our customers. So whenever somebody needs information, we are always open to provide this information for where our products are made, what are they made of, where the material comes from, and everything else. This is very important because when companies hide those things from their customers, then you can't really see that there is something wrong and you can't demand the change. So we make sure that we are very transparent. So the struggles of being sustainable, I must say that starting as a sustainable brand, I can tell you a lot about the struggles of being sustainable. And I was actually a little bit surprised to learn that the topic of the talk is how we can be profitable from sustainability, because for now in fashion, this is very hard. I can say that sustainability helps us save money at some places, but generally sustainability is making a product more expensive. But the struggles product-wise is finding high quality sustainable materials. There is still not such a big demand for sustainable materials. Therefore, they're a lot more expensive than regular materials. And even if you can find a material that is matching conventional material, matching the price of a conventional material, there usually are MOQs, which is a minimum order quantity. So for us, when we go to a fabric manufacturer and we want to buy, let's say, organic cotton, there is going to be a minimum order quantity of 1,000 meters, for example. So we cannot order any length or amount that's under this. So for a small brand, this is very hard. To meet this is very hard. But now what is good is that there is more demand compared to 3 years ago, for example. So we can see now that there are more and more manufacturers that are more willing to lower those MOQs, or more accommodating to the needs of smaller, sustainable, independent designers. So this is still, I would say, a struggle, but I can see that with time it's getting easier and easier with this. And then traceability, this is linked to the transparency that I was talking about. traceability in the fashion industry is really a challenge because there are so many parties involved. So for example, if you look at a cotton sweater, for example, this cotton sweater, for the first thing you want to know about it is where it was made. But then if you look at the material, you have to know where the material itself was made. If you go backwards, then you need to know where the raw fiber for this fabric came from. And usually with fashion, you can have the material, the fabric spun, let's say in Turkey. This is quite common for cotton, but then it's sent to Morocco to be dyed in a certain color. And then there's a certain finishing that is done, let's say in Italy. So this traceability is really hard in fashion. And it's usually why sustainability in fashion and like transparency are quite the challenge. But if you really dug into it, I believe that there's ways that you can find more information about your product at every stage. But it's just that a lot of information is lost along the way. So that's why I would say this is a struggle. Business-wise, affordability and accessibility. So basically, once your fabric is more expensive because it's sustainable, you also don't want to overproduce. So you have 50 pieces from one style instead of 500. This makes the product more expensive to manufacture. And this is why usually sustainable fashion is more expensive than, let's say, fast fashion. It's because it costs more to create this product. And since there's not this big demand for it yet, there is nothing to help you lower this price. And this is, of course, something that is as well changing with the growing demand. And we hope that it soon is going to be possible to meet the prices that we want to have. That's a struggle for now, I must say. And then scalability. I think that this is where we actually have an advantage compared to bigger established brands, because scaling as a sustainable brand, when you start sustainable, it's a lot easier to keep that sustainability as you're scaling as a business than if you want to implement it in a business that's very well developed, because then that business has to change from the ground. From like all of it has to change. And I'm saying this from the side of fashion. It is a lot easier to build the foundation of being sustainable and then gradually build up the sustainability than to change everything, like the whole company's structure. So this is why I would say for us, it is easier to do as a small sustainable brand that started sustainable than a bigger company, but still growing. Sorry. So yes, let's go to the benefits of being sustainable, because there's quite a lot as well. So for me personally, the biggest benefit is that I know that I am part of a big change that is going towards something good for the environment, something good for people and for the planet as a whole. So I know that going home, I know, okay, even if it was a hard day, let's say, what I'm doing is good. It's good for the environment and for everyone involved. And I know that we are saving precious resources. And as we saw in the presentation of HB, we cannot go the way we are going right now with using our resources. So it's knowing that you're saving precious resources. And of course, finding your audience that shares similar values as you. This is quite rewarding. And yeah, generally it's positive, having a positive impact and really creating a real change. Yeah, this is where you can find us. We have a lot of information on our website that is educational information about fabrics and sustainability in fashion. So if you want to learn more, I would really recommend you visit our blog, which you can find on the website. And you can as well follow us on Instagram. Yes, I'm done, by the way.
Thank you, Danica. And now we're going to move into the question and answer session. And you can raise your hands to ask a question or write in the chat. Yes, Stefan?
So I wanted to ask to HP specifically what they're doing to manage sustainability inside their supply chain in Bulgaria. Like, what business do they have in Bulgaria, and what are they doing to be sustainable?
Okay, thanks, Stefan. Actually, we are quite a big team here in Bulgaria. We're about 16 people, but we are supporting worldwide. So unfortunately, there is no sort of a supply chain responsibility policy in Bulgaria because we're not producing any products here locally, we're just selling them. So everything that we're doing in terms of sustainability worldwide is also being done here in terms of how we design our products and thus we're selling them. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, it was sufficient.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine, and thank you, Stefan, for the question. We have a question from Max, a question from earlier. How do customers save ink compared to buying ink in a store?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mentioned about the service that we're offering, the HP Instant Ink. And the idea behind this service is that the customers can subscribe for a monthly printing plan that is based on the number of pages that they're printing and not the amount of ink they're using. And some of those printing plans are starting from less than $1 a month, or it could be $3 a month. So it's much cheaper to have it as a service and be subscribed rather than investing in buying a new toner. So it's usually better for the customers, and they also know about how they can recycle, because they can just easily send it back to us and we'll recycle it properly, turn it into a new cartridge, and proceed with our closed loop program.
Thank you. The next question is from Evgeny, and is from it is to Danica. Do you demand some kind of certification from fabric suppliers, and if yes, which certificates?
Yes. So for the fabrics that we use that are leftover materials, we don't have any contact with the suppliers, because those are basically materials that we found that are left at the factories, so they don't have traceability behind that. But for the new materials that we buy, we do use certified organic cotton. So we usually use for it's either the BCI, which is Better Cotton Initiative, which is not necessarily organic cotton, but it looks towards the conditions in which the workers and the farmers that harvest the crop work. So this is always a good certification to have, or the organic cotton, which makes sure that the cotton is organic. But it's not necessarily, because we, for instance, for some of the materials that we use, it's just the way that they're produced is sustainable, such as linen. So we don't really need the certification for this one. And going forward, I think we would be insisting more and more on the certification. It's just that for now, those materials are usually a lot more expensive, the certified one, because the certification is very expensive to get for the suppliers. And I've also been quite skeptical of how accurate the certifications are as well, some of them at least, because when you have a certification that costs so much, I think when money is involved, sometimes you're not exactly sure how accurate this is. So for instance, also with factories, I would prefer to go to a factory and see it myself and make sure for myself that everything is good than trust a certification blindly.
Thank you. Now we have a question from Catherine.
Thank you. Benita, I was wondering if there is some sort of a coalition of fashion brands that is working together to tackle those problems within the supply chain, as we have similar with the IT brands. We have gathered together and tried to tackle these issues. So is there something similar in fashion, or maybe it's too early?
No, unfortunately, there is no such coalition. But that's actually quite a good idea, and I hope that there might be at some point.
Thank you. Now we have a question from Binderia. What is one quality of BGR that you think is applicable for bigger fashion businesses, fast fashion, if you had to choose?
That is a good question. Well, I think as we work in the same industry, we do face a lot of the same issues, and I think for them a big thing of the big thing of fast fashion is that it has really low prices. So I think that for them the struggle to maintain this, because also H&M is trying to be sustainable. For example, they have the sustainable line. So I'm quite sure that for them it's very hard to meet their margins for this. So I think for every business that is kind of between, we need to be affordable, but we also need to be sustainable, you always have this issue with your margin for the sales you're making. So I think this is one obstacle that we have in common. I'm not sure if that answers the question. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, if you could teach them something, or if you wish one thing that you do would be applicable for every bigger fashion brand that everyone could start doing, what would be?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I think is with a lot of the fast fashion brands, I think what I would advise is that if you're looking for a way to make change, there's always a way. You can always find a way to improve the industry you're part of. You just need to put the extra work. And I think, yeah, for them that will be beneficial, because we are seeing that customer demand is really changing. And also I can clearly see how there's so much more demand now than 3 years ago, and how people are a lot more aware. So I think soon, especially with the new generation, with Gen Z, they really, really demand this change. They want to buy sustainable products from companies that are responsible. So I think fast fashion would really suffer if they don't change this about their work.
Thank you, Denitsa. Now we have a question from the Bulgarian Biodiversity Foundation to HP. Are Bulgarian customers also demanding more sustainable products? Can you measure difference now and the example 2 years ago?
Unfortunately, we don't see such a trend for Bulgarian customers. Maybe it is happening, but it hasn't reached us yet. I'm really hopeful that this will happen in the future. For the moment, what we're observing is a huge demand from Europe, from Western Europe, from Scandinavia, from the US, where customers usually don't want to buy products if they're not sustainable, if they don't know how they're produced. And also public sector, we're seeing a lot of regulations there that they're just demanding us to be sustainable. So it's, as Dimitar mentioned, it's just a business imperative right now. It's not a nice to have, it's something that we need to do.
Thank you. Sorry, we had a question from Nicola, and the question is, I was wondering what happens to unsold quotes. Can they be recycled somehow? And that's again for Denita.
Yes, so basically, if I'm not sure if this question is for us personally or in general in the industry, so I'll answer both. So for unsold clothes, so far we keep all our stock from previous collection on our website. So it's not this collection is over, so we delete everything from the website and we throw away the clothes or incinerate them, which is the case with many brands, bigger fast fashion brands. So everything that we've ever created that we still have stock on is still for sale. And now we're looking into options. There are websites and like businesses that buy excess stock from brands and they resell it at their own websites. So this is also a good way to find like somebody to buy these clothes. In general, for recycling clothes, so this is quite tricky because when you are throwing away, let's say, a pair of jeans, ideally you want to remove the zipper and remove the buttons and remove any trims because this makes the recycling harder. Because they will either be discarded and like not recycled, or there's going to be someone who will have to remove all of this, which is a very intense manual work when you have such a big quantity. But as well with recycling, what is tricky is that a material that is a blend, so for example, if it's 30% polyester, 70% cotton, this material cannot be recycled. Because there is no technology as of now that can separate the different fibers from the material. So the materials that can be recycled are those that are 100% from the same content.
Thank you. Now we have another question from the Bulgarian Biodiversity Foundation, again for Denica. And are Denica's observations on demand? Denica's observations on demand are from Bulgaria or outside?
So in terms of demand for sustainable fashion from customers, I cannot really say because Bulgaria is not our market and we don't sell in Bulgaria. But I can answer this question from a different perspective because also we buy a lot of our materials and a lot of our trims from Bulgaria. And we are looking for, let's say, I was looking for for organic cotton ribbon to make our care labels from. It was very hard to find. And when I would reach out to suppliers, we don't have any organic cotton. Organic cotton is usually, if I want to find organic cotton, I'll look for it in Turkey. So I think there is very little demand from suppliers, like demand from suppliers, yeah, for sustainable materials. And I think most of this demand comes again from Western brands, for example, because there's a lot of factories that work, for example, with Western brands that will want to find material that is sustainable or trims that are sustainable. So usually those factories will look within their supplier partners. So this is, I think, the only demand they get that is from Western brands.
Thank you, Denica. Bindi just shared in the chat a link to our feedback form where you can give us feedback on the webinar. Also, does anybody have any more questions? Okay, I'm gonna ask a question. Sorry. I'm gonna ask a question in that case. It's for Denica, and I have a question for your packaging. You said that it is made from corn and it's biodegradable. Is it like the Lush packing peanuts and it can be like degraded in water, or no?
I am not sure about what the Lush packaging is, but I am aware of the ones that get degraded in water. That's quite interesting. It is not like that. It's basically if you put it in a compost, for example, if you're throwing away your apple peels, bananas, and everything, you can create like a little compost. And if you put it in, it will start dissolving with them. So usually materials that are made from natural materials, they do biodegrade. And corn, like the corn packaging is like an example of this, but it does not biodegrade in water when you just put it in, mix a little bit, and it disappears. Those are quite cool though.
Thank you. So if we don't have any more questions, we can end the webinar now. But let's wait for like a few more seconds. Okay, I guess we have no more questions. So you can use the link to give us feedback on our webinar. And we were very happy to have all of you here, and I hope you learned a lot of things today. Thank you so much to our guests and our partners for being here and helping us with this webinar. So thank you for being here and for helping us. And goodbye.
Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.